Hello everyone and welcome to our spring summit. This is my favorite time of the year.
It is. It's finally getting a little more sunshine.
It is, yeah. So we are trying something new for our spring summit. Last year we did all crepe paper flowers, and this year we decided to mix it up, try some different types of materials, see what you guys think. Let us know. Let us know in the comments, or also, this video will go into the post so you can watch it again and again. You don't have to be here live, but it's always fun to be live, right?
Yep.
And I have to say, Megan, I have avoided cardstock paper for flowers for a long time because I always felt like it looked heavy and stiff. But you have found the magic.
It's all about, I feel like, coloring,
And
using,
the ball tool.
yeah, the ball tool. Really,
Yes.
the steel ball tool helps so much to get more shape into your cardstock.
Yeah, it really
If you're
does.
using that for flowers.
So I'm excited to do this with you. And also, someone asked ahead of time, they asked if they could use a frosted paper rather than the cardstock, and the answer is yes, absolutely.
You can use whatever material you have on hand.
Not crepe paper.
Not
for
crepe
this.
paper. Keep with paper.
Yep.
Paper for this, but yeah, cardstock, frosted paper,
Sure.
text weight, whatever you have.
All right.
Yeah, let's get started. We can talk about the materials we're going to use first. So for paper, so we are using a little bit of crepe paper for this. So we're going to be using extra fine chiffon, extra fine vanilla, and then the extra fine juniper. And then for the cardstock, we'll be using Spanish moss and muslin. And both of these have a like linen texture on one side and then a smooth side.
Yeah, I love our new cardstock collection. We have 99 colors, so go check those out if you haven't already. Whoops.
Whoop.
That's all right. We have a few people here.
All right. And then let's see for our tools. So I'm using, I like to use a little bit of felt, and I'm going to, this is just a scrap piece of felt that I have on hand, or we have this really nice felting pad that's fun, and this is going to be used to shape our petals underneath our steel ball tool. All right, and then we've got a curling tool, a pan pastel, any color brown will work. Today we're using the burnt sienna shade. Some markers, we're using the pale pink, and then a blender.
And you can use any brand if you want to.
Yeah, just any like really, really light pale colored pink will work great. And then I'd recommend also using a blender. We've got a blending brush and then the steel ball shaping tool. And so this one, the size, this is like the middle size. So on one end, the ball is about a 1/2 inch.
Okay.
And we'll be using both sizes. We've got our fringe scissors, our detail scissors.
Got a runner.
Rolling away.
Okay.
Fringe clip. Let's see, some wire cutters. And then lots of scissors today. You're going to want to use some larger scissors. And then also we're going to be using the scalloped pinking shears.
And all of these were cut out on the cutting machine ahead of time, but
Yes.
you can use your scissors. It'll take a little bit longer.
Yes.
I would
will.
use the tiny scissors to cut all that detail.
Yep. And then we're going to be using art glitter glue, also hot glue as well.
You have a lot of tools and
I
materials
know,
today.
there's a lot. The glue you can kind of, you can use either or really. And then floral tape.
Yes. And also, if you don't have your art glitter glue, we are getting it back in stock. I know it's on its way. Actually, is it in stock? Okay, it's in stock. So go grab your art glitter glue because that sells out, and it's the most amazing glue.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, and then our pattern. Got a lot of papers going on here. All right, so here's your pattern. I'm going to print out. Notice on the leaves, the dashed line means to score. So we're not cutting there. And then for your crepe paper, pay attention to the direction of your grain lines.
All right.
Yeah.
So show me how to do this.
Yeah.
Megan.
So first we're going to start with our crepe paper pieces. So you have a stamen piece that's in vanilla, and then the pollen, which is a smaller piece, is going to be in the chiffon. So you're gonna need you are gonna need your glitter glue or your white glue for this. And that pollen piece we're gonna take and we're gonna fold it in half against the grain.
I find it works really well to press my curling tool in the middle.
Yeah.
Give it kind of an indent. It's a fast way to do it. And then just fold it over.
Yep. And then you're gonna go ahead and open it back up once you have that fold. And we are going to put white glue on one side of the fold. If my white glue wants to work. It was working. There we go. You are gonna want that like detail tip on your white glue if you have it, so you don't get too much glue, because if this gets too mushy, it's not going to, you're gonna have to sit and wait for it to dry for a bit before you can continue to work with it.
Are you placing it along the fold, right
Yep.
beside the fold?
So you're gonna go ahead and glue that stamen piece right into the fold, and then we're gonna add some more glue to the other side of the pollen and fold it over. And make sure you get glue all the way to the edge because we don't want it lifting up.
And if you only have one color of crepe paper, you can go ahead and do this layering technique and then use some sort of colorant to change the color of the tips.
You could use a marker. I would recommend probably a marker. Yep. All right, we're gonna make
But I would
another
wait for it
one.
to
So
dry
I'm gonna
first.
do a second one.
Okay.
So we're folding it in half. And the crepe paper always stretches out a bit lengthwise when you go to fold it in half, so you can stretch your stamen piece to like match the length of your pollen.
Oh, good to know. All right.
If you want.
Or clip off the ends.
Or clip off the end, it's totally up to you. I just always find that it stretches out a little bit whenever you fold. Right.
I think the glue also stretches it a bit.
Yeah. Okay, so once you've finished with this, we're gonna go ahead and take our scalloped pinking shears and we're gonna pink the top edge of that stamen, and you're gonna cut the pollen about halfway off.
Okay.
So just,
So it's a generous amount of pollen.
yes. Cutting it in half.
Yeah, and this is such a great tip for adding pollen to any flower, any crepe paper flower. So this tip can go a long way.
It's nice because it adds a little bit of bulk, so it looks like there's really something sitting on the tip.
These I was admiring the detail when you first brought these in.
All right, so now you're gonna go ahead and take your fringe clip and you can go ahead and set your stamen in there to fringe with. All right, and we're gonna fringe, I'd say 2/3 of the way down. So you can just place your fringe clip to the point where you want to fringe to.
Yep.
If that makes sense.
And this is going to be a very fine fringe, correct?
Yes, it is a fine fringe. But not so fine that it's going to lose all of its structure. So we're going pretty thin, but...
Yeah. And I have to say, when I teaching the master class, I did say that we very rarely use extra fine for the stamen. This is when we would.
Yes.
Because these flowers are
They're
so tiny.
small. So once you've fringed it, you're going to go ahead and leave this in the fringe clip, and you're going to roll the stamen between your fingers. I'm just kind of rolling back and forth. And you really want to roll that pollen so each piece is kind of rolled into, I'd almost say like a ball, but just rolled up tight so you don't have harsh edges.
Right, almost a tube or something.
Yeah. Yep. Alright. Do my second piece.
Also, any questions, go ahead and write them in the question section, and Emily will call those out so we can answer as we're working on this. This really does make them twist really easily.
Yes, it's much easier to twist them while they're. I like doing it while it's still in the French clip.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's a good idea.
Yeah,
I'll put that back.
I think it helps it hold its shape a little
Sure.
better.
Yeah, it does. It kind of spreads them out for you. And you have to do gentle so you don't tear them.
Yes. Yeah, be very gentle. Just roll back and forth. I would recommend trying to do this before your glue dries, just because it's going to help them roll up into little tubes much better and get rid of those harsh edges.
Beautiful.
All right, then you can go ahead and take your stamen out. You're going to take your detail scissors, and we're going to actually cut off a little bit of this extra crepe paper because you want this bottom piece to be so tiny where you're gluing it on. So you're just going to cut a little bit off just so you have a very small portion of crepe paper below the fringe.
That's another reason why that French clip is so helpful, is it keeps you even on your cuts. So you're not, some of them aren't cutting further than others.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and take, I forgot to mention the wire we were using when we were talking about materials. We were using a 24 gauge green paper covered wire. And we're gonna go ahead and cut these into 3-inch pieces, so you should get 4 out of 1 piece.
When you're done with those. Thank you.
There you go.
Emily, any questions out there?
No questions yet.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this stamen around the tip of one of these wires, and I'm just gonna put some glue on the bottom edge. Again, you're gonna wanna use white glue for this part. I would not use hot glue because it'll get too bulky. You're just gonna roll it around the tip. And you don't want you want it to be on the very tip. You don't want any of the green wire to show up.
Okay.
So just roll it nice and even. And once you've rolled it all the way around, I like to roll this in between my fingers to really smooth it out and compress it really tight.
It also splays them.
Yep. Kind of makes the stamen spread out when you do that.
Right.
Perfect. And when we're done with that, we're going to go ahead and take our petals and work on coloring them. So we can set these aside to dry. We can go ahead and take our flower petals and the bud petals, and we'll work on these at the same time.
And put the needle back in your glue.
Yes, so it doesn't
dry
out. I don't know where I set it. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and color these first. So we'll start with our flower petals, and we're gonna take our pink and our brush, and we're gonna go ahead and take the top off our brush so they're all, our blender, so they're all ready to go. And I'm gonna take my blender brush and kind of touch the pink, because I want a really, really pale pink. I want just like a wash, just adding a little bit of color. And we are coloring on the smooth side of this paper, not the linen textured side. Okay, and we're gonna go ahead and add some pink just to the center of the petals. It doesn't need to cover the entire petal, it can just be in the middle. And I'll lighten up my first one I did because it was kind of, if anything, I like it a little darker in the middle of the petal towards the base.
Sure, great. Do a little gradation.
All right. And I really like this one. It looks more like a watercolor wash, so you can use a lot of that blender. You can set it aside and do your other one. could also use a very light pink color for these petals, like paper, if you wanted to.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I really like the white with the pink added touch, though. Having that gradation is so pretty.
All right, and then for the bud, we're gonna make this a lot brighter. So I'm gonna actually go in with my pink marker and just add strokes up to each, and I'll show you as soon as I'm done. Just very light strokes from the base of the petal up, like just 3 to 4 strokes, I'd say. I'll show you, and then I'm gonna take, once I'm done with this, I don't know if you can see that, you're gonna take the blender marker and blend it, and you want to work with it pretty quickly so that it really blends it. The longer the marker dries, the less.
Yeah, you could do one petal at a time.
Yeah, the less it will blend.
Yeah, mine dried out just a little, but
that's all right.
Oh, this is fun.
I like having the strokes, still seeing the strokes a little bit. On the
bud.
I
see. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah.
All right. Now we're going to take our steel ball tool and we're going to go ahead and shape our petals. So you can take either a piece of folded up fabric. We always have felt laying around, so I use that, or you can use a felt pad. So we're going to flip our petals over so that the linen side is showing and the color is down. And for the flower petals, I'm going to use the smaller side of my brush, and I'm just going to kind of work in a circular motion on each petal to give it a nice rounded shape. Very cupped. And if you kind of pull the steel ball tool along the edges back and forth, it'll help them kind of curl and curve up. And you want to apply a good amount of pressure. Like, I think after doing so many of these, my hand was cramping.
I could see that.
Yeah.
This kind of reminds me of fondant flowers, too.
All right, so this is what your flower will look like, and that's, I love these steel ball tools. Like, that's without using any curling tool or anything.
I really think the steel ball it's the key for this cardstock.
Oh my goodness, I totally messed up. I'm sorry.
That's what I was wondering.
You're like, you should have said something.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Right.
You're supposed to do the colored side on.
But you know what? It's
I wasn't
okay
even thinking about
to
it.
have a flower opposite.
It is.
It will look fine.
It totally is. But even if you do it this way and you mess up, you can totally pop them and redo it this way. I was thinking you were going to pop them back, so I didn't say anything. For the bud petals, you do it that way.
Okay.
I was just.
It is Monday morning.
It is Monday. All right, so yeah, that's what your flower will look like when it's done. So on the flower petals, the color is on the inside. So you want to shape with your steel ball tool on the color. Set that aside and I'll do another one. So yeah, color side up. You know, once I had that finished flower, I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, I can see how it's cramping, a little crampy on the hand.
Yeah.
This could be something you worked on one flower at a time.
Yeah, and then you'll take your bud petals and you're going to do the colored side down to shape these using the smaller end. And these you really just work in a circular motion to get them rounded.
I love how they kind of rotate on your pad anyway.
They do as you're like working.
The table's wiggling.
It is.
You guys can probably see that on the camera.
All right. Set that aside. And then we're going to go ahead and take our stamen. And you can go ahead and push there's already a little hole. If you cut these on the Cricut, there's a little hole in the center. If you cut them by hand, I would say, use like your needle nose tweezers to pre-poke a little hole in the center versus using scissors to try and cut it. So just press a hole in. And for this, you can either use white glue or you can use hot glue to attach this. I'm going to use hot glue just so that it's dry quicker. And you're just going to put a very small amount of hot glue at the base of your stamen.
All right, you guys, I'm sure there's a question out there. And if you're watching the replay, just put it in the comments and we'll pop back in and answer those for you.
Right.
Emily, I'm sure you have a question.
I think you're doing a great job explaining, and I'm excited to see.
Yeah, back in the day, like what, 10 years ago, when I started really focusing on paper flowers, I saw a lot of cardstock flowers out there, and I just didn't enjoy them.
Yes.
Because they just look so crunchy.
So bulky and...
I mean, they're pretty. They're a little more, I don't know, characterized versus realistic. But these look very realistic.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to attach our bud to the top. So you're going to bend the tip of your wire, like just curl it over the top so it has something to hold it and grab onto.
Slide it in.
Yep.
These buds are so cute. Yes.
Pinch.
It doesn't feel like spring here yet, but all of the trees are blooming.
They are. Yes.
Which is so nice. It's still a little rainy and wet here. Typical
All right,
Portland.
so with these, we're going to put just a little bit of hot glue in and we're going to let it dry. Just like a dot, just so it holds on.
Okay.
Oh, mine kind of splooged out. So I'm going to let this dry and just kind of blow on it. Burn my fingers a little bit. And once you've gotten it to dry, I'm actually like filling this with hot glue, like putting a bunch of hot glue in here. I say like one squeeze of hot glue, like I did like one full squeeze.
Sure. And then that's going to hold it in
Very
place.
stringy. Yeah, and you're going to want to hold it in place, and then we're going to bring our petals in, and you can kind of bring them in like a full rotation so the same one tucks under the same side. I varied mine, and I did some like that, and some of them I made a little more random so they weren't perfect.
This is fun. I like this idea.
But yeah, you just have to kind of sit here and hold it until the glue dries enough to hold those petals in place.
Which doesn't take too
no,
long.
it's not too long. I think it's like probably like 30 seconds or so. But you just get a more closed bud that way. All right, and then you can go ahead and take your sepal pieces. So you should have one per flower, one per bud. And we're gonna take our steel ball tool again. Yeah, these ones, they're like jumping away from me. And with the textured side facing up, you will use your steel ball tool just to kind of push into the center of each one to give them a little bit more of a cupped shape. And you can just work them in like a circular motion. And then you can use either hot glue or white glue to attach them to the base of your flower.
So much detail. This is beautiful. I am going to be using this in one of the bouquets for the master class, for the arrangement master class.
And when you put the sepal onto your flower, I like to have the little leaves in between each of your petals.
Great, okay.
So that when you're looking down at the flower, you're not seeing like space. You're seeing the green sepal.
Beautiful. And easy to do too. All right.
Let's see. And then next we're gonna go ahead and wrap our stems with some crepe paper, just to bulk them up a little bit so they're not so
Okay.
skinny. So we're gonna take our juniper crepe paper and my large scissors, put them. And I just always have one sleeve of crepe that is like my stem covered piece of crepe so that I can just cut off the top edge. And we're cutting against the grain, and I usually cut about a little less than a 1/2 inch width.
I keep a little bucket with all my extras.
Yeah, I'll just give you like half of this. There you go. And you're gonna use white glue for this. I have so many glue strings
I know, same.
everywhere. I don't know what's going on. I feel like sometimes I get lots of glue strings, and sometimes I don't get very many.
I think it has to do with the temperature of the
Yeah.
glue. How bulky are you wanting to do this?
Just do one layer, wrap it
Okay.
one time.
So this is fairly thick, so you're doing a pretty high angle on your wrap, or I'm meaning it's wide,
Yeah.
wide thick. Okay.
Yeah, for smaller things you can cut your, I guess I could have cut it a little thinner.
Beautiful. This looks so good. I am going to cut mine in half here. A little easier. Just a reminder for everybody who has not taken the Crepe Paper Masterclass, sign up. We start May 1. It's free to all of the annual members and the Craft Circle members, of course, but you do have to sign up. You do have to. That way you're on the email list, so you are alerted with all the classes every couple days. Okay. And tell me, what do you guys think of our classes now being right here on the home page, so you don't have to go search for them? They're all right here. When we film live, that is.
Yeah.
Give us some feedback. Let us know what you think.
Okay, once you're done with these, so I've also pre-made a bunch, so we can fill up a branch while we're sitting here.
Okay.
You're definitely going to want more flowers than buds. It kind of just depends the size of your branch and how many flowers you want. So it's totally your decision on how many you need. For our branch, it's about 1 foot long, and I used 15 flowers, and I'd say like 8 buds, and then about 25 flowers. Okay, and so
8 buds and 25 flowers, or 8 buds and 15 flowers?
oh, sorry, 8 buds,
Okay.
15 flowers,
Which makes 25.
25 leaves.
Oh,
That's where the 25
okay.
was. Yeah,
Okay.
leaves, 25 leaves. And yeah, I just, on the template it says this, and it also says just like,
Make it up.
whatever fits the branch you have. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and show you a branch. So this is one I've cut and cleaned off, and I already have one flower attached. Make sure, here's another branch I also cut off. You're going to want to clean it off. Clean off the dead leaves. The moss is kind of fun, but it is going to fall off over time, so I would recommend also taking that off, or it's just going to be messy. You can also trim off any excess if you don't want this many branches, because this is kind of a lot. Once you start getting flowers on here, it's a lot of points
Sure.
to add on to. So I would say as you're adding flowers on, like cut bits off that don't make sense. All right, and then this is cut off of a dogwood tree, if you would like to know what type of branch we're using.
Similar. similar.
You want to get very specific. I didn't have an apple tree in my yard.
Yeah, but if you do.
But if you do,
that
go
would be
for it.
perfect.
It would be great. So we're just going to take groups of flowers, buds, and we're going to use our floral tape to attach them together. I like to do like one bud and one flower, 2 flowers and a bud, 2
Just
buds, 1 flower, you know,
mix
make
it
it
up.
random. Yeah, you can kind of lay them out how you would like to do them together.
I'm sorting for you.
Okay. And I'm gonna start wrapping the floral tape a 1/2 inch below the base of my flower and bud. So you're gonna have a lot of extra wire, and we are gonna be cutting some of it off. So I'm just gonna wrap it. Go ahead and I think you have floral tape over there.
I
as
do.
well, if you want to.
Oh, okay. You want me to
Wrap,
help you?
yeah. Start wrapping.
Okay. I was just gonna sit here and watch. And do you want the heads all the same layer, or do you want them to kind of vary?
Nope, you can have them vary.
Okay. So this is freestyle.
It is, yeah. You just kind of. You can do just buds.
Okay.
All right. And then to attach to your branch, we're also going to use floral tape. So I just like getting one big long piece so I can just like keep using it. And before you cut any wire off, like decide where you want it to go. I'm gonna put this one right here. So I'm gonna break off a couple of these extra bits. You might need to use your wire cutters. So they're great for cutting off little tiny branches.
Sure. Oh, here's a couple extra buds. I'm
Yeah.
gonna put them on here.
And so I'm gonna cut off some wire because that's just more wire than I need. And you're just gonna overlap, you're gonna need to overlap your wire and your branch. So you're gonna have a little bit of a bulge.
Okay. Mhm.
But we'll wrap with floral tape the best we can to disguise it. Right.
You can also use crepe paper if you want to. You can use crepe and glue if you don't want to use the floral tape.
You can, yeah. I'm actually going to cover these with crepe paper.
Okay.
I just didn't feel like just crepe paper was holding it on well enough.
Okay.
I was worried that it would, unless you use a lot of glue, I guess.
Sure. So as far as applying them on, you probably want to keep lighter towards the tips and thicker towards the base.
Yeah, so
just
like
for
maybe
visual
more
flow.
buds are like nicer up here, and yeah, more flowers towards the bottom of your branch.
Now that my fingers are completely sticky,
I know, the one
I'm going to fold leaves.
downside of, yeah.
I'm going to fold leaves while you're doing that. So I'm just folding
Sounds
along.
good.
I'm just folding them along the
The
score
score line.
line. Yep. Yeah, this is such a beautiful detailed branch, and again, it will look really good by itself, or you can put it into a bouquet.
Yes,
Okay,
I like this
okay.
size.
Yeah.
for putting into a bouquet. Like you could get a larger branch and make like big ones to just display by themselves.
Mhm.
But like a 12-inch branch is a really nice size, I feel like, to put in an arrangement.
That's good to know. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, if you're putting them in an arrangement, this is 2 branches.
Yeah.
So 2 or 3 is ideal. I mean, of course, I like odd numbers. The other thing I noted too is you have both branches going the same direction.
Yeah.
So if I were using this for a bouquet, I would maybe want to do them opposite.
Mm-hmm.
So when
Well,
I
that
use
must
these,
just be like my tree. I guess
that
I
must
could.
be.
Oh,
that's
I'm not
true.
noticing even this one I cut off is just like
kind of the same way.
is going
yeah.
that direction.
So yeah, just something to think about. But it's
Yes.
not. You know, you can always work with it.
And since these are wire on the tip, you can kind of like
Move 'em around.
move them
Yeah.
around the direction they face. So we'll try and make this one be the opposite
Mm-hmm.
direction then while we're making it. But it is just kind of wanting to go that same direction.
Go to the other side of your tree.
Yeah, seriously. Must be the way the sun hits it. That's
I'm sure. Yeah.
trying to get all the sun it can here.
Yeah, all of my fruit trees that I planted last year are in bloom, except for my
Nice.
fig tree. That one hasn't bloomed yet. My Asian pear is blooming.
That's fun. Mine aren't quite there yet. Like this tree was still, I mean, this is a branch I took off of it this morning.
Oh yeah,
Not blooming yet.
it's a little cooler up where you live too.
Yeah. My like tulip magnolia is starting to bloom though,
Nice.
which is nice. You also don't necessarily have to put your flowers at the end of a branch. You could add it right in like the middle of one if you need.
Yep.
Like I feel like there needs a little bit more, and maybe even one down here
Mm-hmm.
to like help fill in
Yeah. We still have the leaves
the branch.
too. So.
Yes,
Mhm.
we still have the leaves as well, so you don't have to worry about it being completely full when adding your flowers and buds. You do want some space.
All right, we have a question.
Our first question for today. All right.
For very thin branch tips, is it better to leave one wire longer on the flower bunch or thicken the branch with floral tape?
You could just leave one wire longer so you're not getting such like a big bulky, if that's what the question is.
Yeah,
I think it is.
I think
It's
that.
like leaving one wire longer at the bottom after you attach would be helpful in like strengthening that very thin branch already.
Mhm. A few of the leaves didn't have a score line, so.
Uh-oh. That's weird. Machine
Who knows?
Machine error. But our curling tool is great for scoring as well.
Yes, it is. Do you want me to curl these leaves a little bit?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, you can show them how to curl shape your leaves.
Yeah. So I'm just shaping it with my curling tool, and since this is cardstock, you can really get in there and pull on it. It's not going to tear. So I'm just giving it a nice curve on both sides of the leaf. And then you can see here how it's bent in the middle. And I have the smooth on the top and the linen on the back side. Easy enough.
Mm-hmm.
The nice thing about this flower too is you do not have to have a rotary blade to make this flower. You can use any of the cutting machines with a fine point blade, including the Joy. You could use the Joy
Oh,
for
yeah.
this. Mhm.
Yep.
Because your crepe paper you're cutting by hand anyway.
Yes, yeah, you can. Definitely the crepe paper pieces, I would actually just recommend cutting by hand. They're so small and it's just a straight square, basically. Let's see.
This looks so pretty.
Where do we want it?
Yes, right there.
Seems like we need to put there. Which is where I would put it.
Yeah, this looks so realistic, and it's a sculpture.
It is.
You know, if you made this and
They're
placed
so-
it on your table, your friends will be amazed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not plastic. It's not made in China. We like that. You can spritz a little apple blossom spray on it.
There you go. All right, so once you've finished adding all of your flowers, we're gonna go ahead and add leaves just to where, for right now, we're just gonna add them around our flowers. We're gonna use a hot glue gun
There you
to
go.
attach them, and then we're gonna use crepe paper with some glue to like cover and reinforce them so that they stay in place.
Yes.
Because I feel like whenever you just use glue to attach to a real branch, eventually they are going to fall off if you just use glue.
Especially hot glue.
Yeah.
I've found it works a little better with the white glue,
So yeah, you could use
Yeah.
white glue to attach these as well.
but hot glue's
I would
fast.
still, yeah, hot glue is just quick.
Yep.
I'm just applying this, just kind of at the base of around the flowers.
And there's two sizes of
For
leaves,
now. Yes,
large and
there's
small.
large and small. So I would definitely use smaller leaves towards the top of your branch.
There you go. Sorted for you.
Thanks.
Are you going to
So
share
many
over there?
glue strings.
Yes, Linda just said, well, we have two questions actually. They're sharing that they're not usually big fan paper flowers, but these are beautiful. And then they were wondering if you two are mother and daughter.
I could be your mom.
Yes.
I'm old enough. Nope.
Emily and I are close in age.
Yeah.
And Emily is
Yes,
my daughter.
behind the camera, I'm Leah's daughter.
And she'll be with us tomorrow. If you don't usually like paper flowers, what? You need to hang around us more. You'll fall in love.
Yeah.
And then Susan said, are you going to make all the branches green, or what are you going to do to blend the green with the brown branch?
Aha.
Yeah, you'll see. That's why. So we're going to cover all of our floral tape with crepe paper, and then we're going to be using the brown pan pastel to kind of blend in that green with your brown branch. And that's why I say you can kind of use any color brown pan pastel to match whatever color branch you have, because depending where you got it from, it's going to vary in color.
It will. And the nice thing about the pan pastel is you can actually brush it onto your branch and kind
Yes.
of color the branch a bit as well.
Yep. Yeah. I honestly feel like adding the leaves is the most time consuming part, because you're just sitting and looking and like where else do we need leaves?
And that's the fun part too.
Yeah. Alright, so I'm just gonna add one more leaf, and then I'm gonna show you guys how to cover and blend in.
And I see you're clustering some of your leaves like in twos and
I am, yeah. Right now I'm just adding them around the flowers, since that's where we're going to need to cover with the crepe paper. And then once I do that and I have all the leaves added to the flowers, I would go in and add leaves just to like the branches.
fill it out.
Yeah. So I'm going to use a little bit of crepe paper to go ahead and wrap around my flowers.
Here.
There it goes. It just takes a second. So I'm going to just apply glue to where I want to wrap. And I'm going to go down onto the branch a little bit. All right. So this is a very like tedious job because you're like working around everything you just added.
And trying not to break the branch, which
Trying not to
hopefully
break the
this one doesn't
branch.
seem super fragile.
Yeah, it's fresh, so
Yeah.
it is not that. I would recommend trying to use a fresh branch because it's going to be a lot more durable,
And then it will dry out.
and then it'll
Yeah.
dry out, and that's when they get a little more brittle. Ripped my crepe paper as I wrapped.
Well, definitely think this is worth the time of adding each and every leaf. It's a big impact.
It is.
Flower, you know, for being so small, but having that branch really brings a
So
wow.
mine, since I can tell it's going to start blooming, is already green right now, so it's blending in
yeah?
like really well.
Yeah.
But you would take a little bit of brown pan pastel, use like a smaller brush, and just like dust it on to the base of where you wrapped with crepe paper and bring it down onto your branch.
I'm gonna find one here. Let's see, something that's super visible. Here's one. If you want to take a look at this one. Okay, you can see how it's really blended right into the branch. And yep. And it looks amazing. In person, it is stunning.
Yeah.
And
So
on
like I'm gonna
camera.
wrap this part. So this is where it's attached down the larger center branch. And so that's a part that really needs to be wrapped and then concealed.
And even though your branches right now are green, they will turn brown.
They will turn brown, yeah. They're only green right now because it is a fresh live branch.
And these are decorations you can use year after year. Bring them back out every spring.
I would recommend after wrapping, if you used a lot of glue, to let your glue dry before you apply the pan pastel. Otherwise, sometimes the pan pastel can get a little
Clumpy.
clumpy. It doesn't apply as evenly.
Yeah.
We'll see. I didn't use too much glue, so I think it might be okay. But you'll start just at the base where it hits the branch and work your way around. You want to get all sides of it. And then just lightly brush it up. This one actually kind of needs it all the way because it's like at the main branch. It's not at the end of a branch.
And I would recommend using the green and add pan pastel rather than using brown,
Yeah.
because I think
It's nice
you
that
can,
you get the green like kind of showing through.
yeah, the undertone.
Yeah.
I think the brown would.
Our brown crepe paper is really dark. It would be too dark.
Well, and you could add pan pastel if you want to.
You
But I mean,
could.
there's some options for you.
Yeah, there are. Also, I feel like if you make crepe paper flowers a lot, you definitely have this brown or this green crepe paper on hand. Glue down that end.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful.
So, yeah, and
I
you
mean,
can
that totally
see-
blends.
This branch is like completely blended, and now you can't really tell that that
A
was
big
wrapped
lump.
with tape or a lump or like anything. Like that's part of the branch now. Where
So
that flower's
once
coming
you
off of.
once you finish, do you splay out your flowers at all?
Yeah, so you're gonna want to like arrange your flowers. You can make them so they're not so straight because what flowers grow with completely straight stems.
Right. And move 'em around. Now, of
can
course,
kinda-
you would have added more leaves at this
Yes,
point.
at this point I would have added more leaves, but we would be here for
Oh wow.
another at least 30 minutes, if not more. If you're watching me arrange, that's how long it takes me to decide where I want things to go. Yeah, so you just kind of bend them out. You can use your floral wires, your wire cutters, like the pliers, also kind of help to get in there.
Yeah, that's a great
So
idea.
you're not
Yeah.
damaging.
I think that if
Anything.
you're doing paper flowers for a wedding, these little clusters right here, this like something like this very top would make such a beautiful boutonniere.
Yes, it would.
Just kind of a thought there.
And apple blossoms don't last as long as we'd like, so
No, they
they're,
don't.
They're nice
They-
to look at for longer than a few weeks.
Yeah, and these will last a long time. So, year after year.
Well.
You know, they ask sometimes, should I make a flower out of crepe paper or should I use frosted or whatever, now cardstock in this case. And this flower, I think I would pick the cardstock over crepe paper.
Same. Just because of the durability of it to last.
And the shape. You're able to make
the
that
shape too.
Beautiful shape. Of course, you could do, you know, double-sided crepe paper and shape it in a similar way, but then you'd have to put each petal on by hand instead of the 5 together. So.
Yeah, this is much quicker, and I honestly just think it looks
fantastic.
So
yeah, it really
great.
does. So, any other last questions to round up this class today? And yes, you can watch it again. We'll have it available for replay.
Yep.
For as long as the site is here, for eternity.
Yep.
But I think this is a keeper. And like I said, I will be using this flower for the next master class, which is arranging. Because I love having all these little delicate flowers.
Yeah.
Filler flowers.
So fun.
Anything else, Emily, over there?
Nothing yet, but if you have any last questions, now is a great time to ask.
And remember, tomorrow we are going to be doing the dog stuffy. Emily and I are going to be teaching that one and show you some tips and tricks on how to make stuffies. And then Megan's back on Wednesday to show us how to make a felt flower.
Yeah.
Which is also great, really fun medium. And then
is.
we have Thursday and Friday as well. So we hope to see you guys here every day. And join us in this beautiful spring summit to make all these wonderful crafts. All right, and give us your feedback. Let us know what you think.
We have one question before we go.
Yes.
Can we spray it with a spray UV resistant after finishing?
Yes, always.
Yeah. You don't need to, but you can.
Yeah, you definitely, I would say you don't necessarily need to with this flower. They're not really colors that you need to worry about fading.
Maybe the marker we have.
Maybe the marker, but I'm not sure. But yes, if you're planning on using them year after year or for a wedding in the future, definitely spray them just to be safe.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, you guys, thank you for being here. We'll see you tomorrow.